hello everybody. My name is Jason. I'm the Hellenic Wolf, and Wolf, of course, that guy. And today I have it's an honor to meet a real maverick and a guy that is as close to Leonardo da Vinci as it gets, at least for me. You are one of the few, Jay. You are, in my opinion, humble opinion. But I've searched your books. I've read your books. Actually, I have them here. So thank you for coming on and accepting my invitation, man.
Well, thank you, brother. It's an honor and a privilege. And I know you reached out to me a couple of years ago, and like you, all of us are just, finding our way in this matrix, of this dimensional reality, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm familiar with you. When I saw you that you broadcasted with Jason, I was like, wow, that's awesome. Good for you. Congratulations. And so, yeah, sure. This is a long time coming though. And like I said, I don't want you to think that I was avoiding you or anything like that. I don't, very truthfully. So, to blow smoke up your ass, I do not podcast with anyone anymore who is not consciously aware. I don't care if you're a New York Times, famous author, or you're an ABC or an NBC or a CBS celebrity. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I've talked to all of those people. I've been down on that side of the fence. I mean, I have thousands of reviews on it, 5-star reviews on Amazon. None of that shit means anything to me. Money doesn't mean anything to me. Fame, fortune, the only thing that matters. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is raising your consciousness. That is it. There is absolutely nothing else. It's not about how much money you make, how much money you want to retire, what your job is. You're a good dad, a good husband, a good father. None of that shit means anything. Okay. What matters is raising your vibration, which is your consciousness, so that we can collectively raise the collective consciousness of humanity to get to a place of resonance. Because resonance, which is coherence, equals love, and dissonance, which equals incoherence, is what fear is. And right now, 80%, if not more, of the planet is vibrating in fear, which is, again, dissonance. And when you vibrate in fear, biologically, your autonomic nervous system is locked up. And so you are in a constant feedback loop of survival, fear, shame, anger, frustration, victimhood. It never ends. It's a circle. It's a loop. And as you know, Jason, most people, this is how they live. There's no thriving. It's pure surviving. Again, the people, the matrix, the demons, the dark lords, the parasites, the reptilians, the fallen angels, whatever you want to call them, who govern this construct, this third dimensional vibration of victimhood, they want you like that. But every person has an opportunity, regardless of where you're born, regardless of your circumstances, you have an opportunity to become personally accountable and what I call sovereign. In fact, my word is sovereign, empowered, and free. That's my phrase, okay? Become sovereign, become empowered, and choose freedom. And once you do that, they, again, whoever they are, it doesn't matter, they lose all power over you. But most people, again, choose to not be empowered. And this scale, for the people that are not aware of this, is from Dr. David Hawkins. And he quantified the levels of consciousness from 0 to 1,000, 1,000 being godlike, enlightened, to 0 being vibrating in shame and victimhood and hating yourself, which again is the majority of humanity. Okay. And this is how you're born. You come out of your mom's womb and you're really actually a Christ-like, energetic, perfectly spiritual being when you come out, but then the matrix, entrains you, your parents entrain you, churches, governments, political systems, television, all that stuff entrains you. And so by the time you're 6, you now have a vibration of victimhood, which again, victimhood is just fear. Everything is either love or fear. You understand that, right? It's just either resonance, which is love, dissonance is fear. And so that's what separates humanity. And so once you start vibrating in resonance, and again, you treat people, as most people learn, the golden rule: love, peace, kindness, joy, harmony. Those things allow you to vibrate that exact same existence into your life. But most importantly, create that reality for everybody that you come into contact with. That's what Jason from Archaics calls an informed field.
Wow. Yeah. I have to give you here. First of all, thank you for explaining me the background of yours. I was always a little bit. I didn't know what it is exactly. I could understand because of
Sure.
the colors, and of course because you have it there. It has a meaning, and since it has a meaning, there's a scale, and I could kind of get it, but now I get it.
Yeah. So these are the
So
chakras, by the
yeah,
way, just so you understand, for people to understand this. So this is root chakra, right? This is going into the solar plexus. And then you just go up the round, to the crown chakra, to the throat chakra, right? And then eventually you get to the chakra that you can't see above the crown chakra, because there's really technically 8 chakras, but that's not for today. But the reality is that this is literally a scale of enlightenment. And the ancients all understood in various ways, the Greeks, the Romans, the Akkadians, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, they all understood that there were levels of colors that represented calibers of life or life creation. Like, again, if you think of divine creativity, like each one of these levels or colors, is attributable to a level of awareness or of self-expression. And so when you're down in red, you are in root chakra. And root chakra is, again, the lowest form of vibration, right? When you're up here, purple, blue, almost like a magenta color, a combination, you're in the angel, the enlightened beings, the Krishnas, Christ, whatever you want to call is like a luminous being, as a shining one. So there's a million names for people like that. But that's the purpose of life on planet Earth. You come out, as a physical body into this matrix of soup and toxicity and everything else. And the question or the quest or the path is back to the top of the mountain. The great Walter Russell says, we come out into the base of the jungle, and then the path is back to the top of the spiritual mountaintop. And it takes who knows how many lifetimes to learn this. Some people probably learn it in one lifetime, and maybe that lifetime is 5 years. And some people, Jason, take 5,000 lifetimes to get back to the same path. And again, we're all walking the same path, bro. The path is back to perfection. The path is back to godhood or angelic, light beingness. Think of that. People
yeah,
talk about the transfiguration or ascension or cheating the light body. That is where we're all headed. And who knows if there's a higher level than that? I mean, just books I've read and people I've spoken to are very, very advanced spiritually. They say that there is. I mean, there are literally beings of consciousness that we can't even calibrate with our third dimensional brains and third dimensional awareness. So it's a very interesting thing. If you're watching this and I make no sense to you, that's totally cool. Because 10 years ago, I would have made no sense to myself if I was listening. This is all an evolution of our soul. And so when I say raise your consciousness, the only thing that matters is that that's part of the evolution of the soul becoming self-aware, and then realizing that it's not about this guy, Jay Campbell, or the Hellenic Wolf, or anybody out there watching this, because that's us as a personality, as an ego, as a mind. None of that shit's even real. This physical body is an avatar to allow your soul to express in physical, animated matter form. And when you get to that conscious awareness of like, hey, I'm a spirit being, I'm technically, for you guys listening out there, you are literally vibrating molecules and oscillating waves of pure biophotonic plasmatic discharge. So the best way to understand that would be like looking at a yellow-orange orb that people see all the time in like ufology. And that's what a spirit being is. That's like divine essence and form. If you could see it, in a third dimensional construct. And for people that have done plant medicine, and really, I've only used 5-MeO DMT, which is, the mothership deal, which is the Sonoran desert toad, but people do ayahuasca and peyote and iboga and lidocaine, all these different, plant medicines. They all can potentially accomplish the same thing. But when you use those, you will get to a state of awareness where you are in the field, and the field is God. Now, I don't want to blow people away, because anyone is a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or whatever, this defies their understanding of what divinity is. But I don't care, because I know what divinity is, because I've been there. I've been in the field, right? And I've done it many times. And so, anyone who's been in this field will tell you the same thing, that the field is everything and nothing. It is like a vibrating hum of energy. And when you're in that field, there aren't words for it. Like, I'm doing my best on this show and I've written a couple of articles about it, but it's literally this sense of just love. It's like a vibrating plasmatic discharge where you're like out of your body and then you just hear this harmonic frequency. And it's like, if you're familiar with the or the Om meditations, that is what it is. And so you're in this sound field and you're in pure love and you feel pure love and your body is like encased in pure love. And so just instantly that is what unconditional love, aka the source frequency, God, the unified field, whatever you want to call it. There's a million different names for it. But God, for you guys out there, and I know I'm going to upset people, but God is not sitting in a white robe with long white beard, with a golden chalice, and trident, sitting in the sky, judging people whether or not you can go into heaven and you can't. No, yes. It's not how it works, but that's how most people have been trained by the Abrahamic, and again, not just the Abrahamic, but the Eastern religious teachings, because they want men who created these religions want other men and women. And I wish I could come up with this comment, bro, but this is from the great Paul Wallace. They want human beings paying, praying, and obeying. So that is what religions teach mankind. They do not teach spirituality. They teach enslavement. They teach mind control. They teach entrainment and indoctrination. They teach you to go to mass every Sunday, or if you're in the Jewish faith, the temple. And if you know anything about the Bible or any scriptural text, whether it's the Torah or the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata, and I've read all of these things backwards and forwards, you have to understand that these are allegorical, as Jason, talks about in his work. And we all say you have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. So you cannot interpret what is said in these ancient texts literally. These are allegorical. And the dark side has hijacked all of these texts too, to encode them with error strategically, to lead people astray. So people are going to be like, Jay, how do you know what's truth and how do you know what's error? You know what's truth when you develop a pure heart. And a pure heart can come from, and it will come from, the inner work, which is meditation, introspection, contemplation, sitting in nature, attaining the still mind, the still point, stillness, 0 point, the now space. There's a million different terms for it, but you can't get to that level of awareness without practice. Yeshua, aka the Christ, aka the Christos, aka the avatar being that people in the Roman Catholic and Christian religions know as Jesus Christ, which is a myth, is a avatar being who came to humanity in this matrix to teach people one thing. And that was that their divinity was inside them. The kingdom of God is within you. Now, most people don't understand this. And the assholes, I have a good friend that calls them the evil MFers, taught mankind that kingdom was in a church or a temple or a house of worship, and that they had to pay for their sins. And they had to contribute to the church to enter the pearly gates of heaven. And I can go on and on and on, right? But the reality is, you as an individual are right now, regardless of what vibrational level you're at, are connected to God at all times. You are not separate. You were made in his image, and his is like a frame. They create mind control. There's no man or woman when you're laying in that field, there's no sexual identification. But we think me, him, I, again, we're trained that God is a man or God is a male or patriarchal figure. But that's not true. But, we're also inculcated with that statement that we say he, but the reality is that God is inside you. And Christ, again, the Christos, I like to call it the light of being or the higher self or the superconscious wisdom that each of us has internally, is only found, i.e. connected to and represented through this inner work. Because when you sit in this place of meditation, introspection, contemplation, grounding in nature, it enters you. And you can't really explain how it enters you, but you have to work at it. It's a practice. People say the way out is within. That's what they mean. You have to sit there and reflect and shut up and turn off all the noise and get rid of your Bluetooth headphones and your phone and everything else and stop being distracted. The distraction is them. Bro, technology, I mean, it's great that, you're where you're at and I'm, half the way of the world talking to you. And we have this opportunity to make this beautiful resonant, information to push it out into the ether. But it's also, if you consume it all day long, bad. If you're using it to create, great. When you're creating, you're in this world. But if you're consuming, you're of this world. Right. So it's all about how much creativity, how much creation, how much conscious co-creation, and then, are you doing it in a way to elevate your consciousness and that of others that come into contact with you? Because that's all we can do, bro. We only have control of ourselves. Right. So it's like Jason says, are you creating an informed field? And this is an informed field right now. This conversation is an informed field because we're talking about things that very few people understand. And, look, dude, I don't want people to think I'm some sort of a master. I'm not. I lived my life up until I was 42, 43 in pure ego, purely attempting to make money. I was an egoic being. Like I was never anti-God, but I was always just about the money, the material things. I was like most people who are trying to get ahead, and thankfully I met my wife and my wife was like, dude, you look amazing physiologically and you got this great mind, but what are you doing for like your inner body or your inner game? And I'd be like, huh? I was a Catholic. I mean, I was a disgraced Catholic. I walked away from it a long time because I knew it was a cult, but I didn't understand what I knew now. And so at 43, the path for me became the spiritual path. And I started, immersing myself in all of this and reading about consciousness and reading 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 to more books a month and pushing my mind into this and regimenting my mind and my body. I mean, obviously physical health has always been a huge thing. I mean, that's kind of how people, know me, the Jay Campbell on the internet, right? From my books and the wealth of information I provide on health optimization. But I mean, it was really the spiritual thing that like turned me up and lit me on fire and said, oh my God, like you got to teach people this, or you got to like project this into the universe because it's all that matters. And, everything that's behind me on my wall for, people that don't know me, this all came from when I was in Peru, in 2019. And I was in the Sacred Valley with my wife and another couple, and it just completely molecularly altered me. And I realized that it was about, changing the mission. I had all the testosterone optimization stuff. I had a website, TOT Revolution. It was the #1 website in the world for testosterone information, and everybody knew me for that. But it didn't matter. I was like, no, I got to go from the TOT Revolution guy to Jay Campbell, the Raise Your Vibration guy, and I have to help teach and project, again, not proselytize, but, to lead by example and to, explain these concepts that most people have no clue about because they're entrained and lied to. And so it became that, bro. So, I mean, the last 3 years I've met amazing people such as yourself. And, the universe now, Jason, is aligning us. Right. I mean, this is really what's happening at this place. And we could go into like, what we think may or may not happen over the next 10 to 15 years. But I know for a fact that what is coming out of this is a golden age and a new earth. Now, I don't know when and what the timeline is. Jason makes good guesses. The thing about time is it's malleable. Just as Jason says, we have two realities. We have the simulacrum, which is the matrix, which everybody knows is the simulated reality. But that reality is only influencing you if you're tapped into it. If you have inputs to it, if you're sitting there watching Netflix, jerking off to porn, playing video games, going then to CNN or, whatever bullshit TV you watch. And then you just go into your job and you sit there and you clock in and you clock out. Again, you're in the construct of the collective mind matrix narrative, what I call the human central computer. John Baines called it, and then I kind of adopted it and made that up too. But, like if you are not in that, you don't watch the news, and you are making money for yourself and you're creating every single day, and you're doing your own stuff and nobody's bossing you around, then you're personally creating a reality, as Jason calls it, which is an informed field, or as I call it, a raised vibration. And that personal reality is anything you want to make it to. through your words, thoughts, and actions, right? So if you're going to, you're going to create your heaven on earth, as Neville Goddard would say, well, then make your words conscious, your thoughts focused, and your actions lovingly intentional, and you will create a heaven on earth. None of the matrix will affect you. And, again, Jason talks about that. I've been talking about that for a long time too. We have used kind of different words for different statements or the same thing. But the reality is you personally right now watching this show, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your money, your job, your education level, your color, your religion, your beliefs, you can change with a thought. I am, and then insert exactly what you want to be, but don't say I want to become or I will, or, that personal projected might happen projected. So many people use the words try. They say shoulda, coulda, woulda. They say I might, I want to. You have to claim it as it is now. And when you start using that conscious word languaging, you are literally programming spells of resonance into your life. And all of your life is totally malleable. Again, this is your personal reality timeline. So the way you think, the way you speak, and of course, most importantly, the way you intend and ultimately act is how you create your reality. So every one of us can create a perfectly heaven on earth reality at all times with thoughts, words, and action.
Can I add something, Jay?
Please.
You gave me completely excellent pass to tell you my experience with changing completely my reality with a thought. And I did that when I was young, when I was a child and an adolescent. I didn't have a lot of friends, and I said the same to Jason. I was an introvert for a long time. So I never developed any communication skills, to be honest. I didn't even speak to my parents, to be honest, to nobody. So I read a lot of books, and that was that. But then, it came to I was 19 and I wanted to meet girls, and I wanted to be fun around, and I didn't want to be alone, lonely. I was feeling lonely because I was, college, but I couldn't connect with people, and I was a little bit frustrated. And I had a cousin, and he told me, no, read this, read that, read the other, and I tried that. It did kind of help. And one day, Jay, I was in a club, and I was like always very stressed and very self-absorbed about how I'm perceived by others, how my hair is looking, because I had some hair back then. And I know that you have, you could probably help us, the bold guys. But I was very self-absorbed, very egoistic in myself. How I look, how I am perceived, how I, and of course, it was very painful because you think that everybody's looking at you, criticizing you, everybody's angry at you, everybody's expecting things from you, and you're kind of like, oh shit, and you don't know what to do. But the way I completely transformed in a night, and this is a true story, completely transformed myself. And that's why I believe the things you talked about, it's not that I've experienced it a couple of times, not once. I transformed myself from not being able to even talk to more than a couple of guys to be able to dance in the club, dance in the bars, dance and bring tens of people, many people to party with me, organizing parties over the next few years. And it was just that night, a thought. My thought was like, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself. It's great. Basically, I thought myself, this is great. That's what I thought myself. I love the rhythm. People, let's dance. And I really said these things out loud, and nobody could hear because it was loud, the music. And at that moment, it kind of was very clear to me what everything is supposed to be. You shouldn't be so self absorbed about yourself. loving other people, it kind of is a freeing moment when you are around other people. Of course, silence, yes, it helps. I started meditating after that, and it helped a lot to control my emotions and my output. But it was no public speaking. I didn't do any public speaking courses. I didn't do any dating skills courses. I wasn't able to even kiss a girl before my 19th age. And at 20, when I was 20, 21, I was flirting with models.
Right.
How is that even possible? I'm not, and I know where I stand in the dating market. I'm not, some Brad Pitt guy. I'm not Jay Campbell guy. I'm not that handsome. So, but that's great. I really love that you talked about it, because it's true, guys. And another thing, and I leave you share the wisdom, but same just with girls, same with people, same with public speaking. I couldn't even speak to a person, to nobody, and a couple of years later, 21 years old, giving speeches to 300 people, political speeches. How is that even possible? And successful at it.
Right.
And people thought I was like a natural. They told me, "You're natural. Obviously, you are a PR guy." What? No,
Right.
just a thought, man. Just a thought.
And yeah, and I mean, and again, everybody is really on the same path, Jason. I mean, like, you all start somewhere, and no one is an expert until they work at it. So everything, like you said, starts with the thought, then it's obviously doing the work. The problem today, that as I see it, is that there are way too many young people, and I see it a lot, mostly with men. And I don't connect with as many younger women as I do with men, because I mentor literally thousands of men around the world, in one way or the other through my works and in my private groups and stuff. But the internet / technology has, pushed so much information into the ether that the younger people have actually lost sight / track. Really, it's just awareness, but of the idea that you can hack your way to mastery. You can become a quote unquote master by taking, reading 3 books and taking 2 courses and going to 2 masterminds. And it doesn't work that way. I always tell people the best way to understand this is that the ancient Egyptians did not allow a person to even apply to the mystery schools until you were 40. You couldn't even apply. So if you understand that, you have to come to an awareness that it takes lifetime of experience. It doesn't take thinking. It doesn't take book knowledge. It takes actual applied understanding. And applied understanding comes from doing the work, right? I'm 51. I look physiologically like I'm 23 or 22, right? I mean, I'm in amazing shape. There are very few dudes that can look like me. But this didn't happen from a 6-week boot camp. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have people that come to me all the time, who are worth $10 million or more, and they're absolutely 1 foot in the grave physiologically. And they say to me, I don't care what it takes. I will pay you whatever it costs for me to look like you. And I will literally laugh in their face. And I will say, you don't have enough money to pay me to get you to look like me, because you are not willing to do the work. Because if you were, you would not be where you're at right now. And that really offends most people, right? Like, I'm a sledgehammer. Like, I tell you right to your face the truth. Whether it hurts you or not, I don't give a flying F, because I am all about truth, transparency, and authenticity. So those people, if they've paid me a lot of money to be right there, I instantly send them their money back. I've probably had 2 people in my life that I've said that, I'm sorry, I've said that to 50 people plus, but I've probably had 2 people out of those 50 plus who were like, wow, no one's ever talked to me like that before, and said, tell me more. And then I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I can help you because you're actually willing to change. But most of those people aren't. Again, they're looking for the shortcut. They're looking for the easy button. They're looking for exercise in a bottle, the pill. As you know, I'm like one of the world's leading experts on peptides. And I have people who buy my course, bro, and send me emails and say, I've never used peptides before. I've never worked out a day in my life, but I, read your articles for free. And then I bought your course and I want to learn from you how to use peptides. And I literally write them back and I say, you wasted your money because it doesn't work like that. But I'm telling people in your show right now, this kind of stuff to make the understanding that life is about an inside job. It's about doing the work. There is no success that comes from hacks, from super ninja tactics and shortcuts and secrets, insider secrets. There is none of that. There is just doing the work every single day, regardless of what profession or what industry or what job or what level of, body or mind or, spirituality you're attempting to attain. It doesn't come from paying some master or some Yoda or some Buddha or some yogi sitting in a Tibetan temple. It doesn't work like that. And this is the problem, Jason, that the internet has created in the last 20 years, between Reddit and bro boards and websites and all these, Amazon, what do you call it? Dating, player and all this alpha, all this nonsense is really what it is, has muddied the waters for young, entrepreneurial, enterprising, bright, industrious, charismatic people, whether you're, an introvert or extrovert, it doesn't matter, to get confused. And so now when I talk to most, people, let's say under the age of 30, I see how confused they are because they buy one experts and then the other expert counters the other expert and they're just contradicting each other. And it's just literally like, dude, what do I do? Like, how do I actually learn this stuff? And so, to circle it all together, you learn this stuff by finding a mentor, a physical, real life mentor, reaching out to this person, again, whether you're a male or female, reaching out to this person and saying, hey man, I love your work. I've read your stuff. I've done this. I've done that, circling the wagons and like finding somebody that can mentor you and then listening to them and drowning out all the noise and stop going online every day and like searching, search terms and finding this, that, and the other, and 25 things that contradict each other. Cause that's the problem, because there aren't a lot of actual real life masters today. And if you do happen to find one, they're not 25. Okay. That is the truth. Whether that hurts somebody or not, I don't give a. You do not find any person who is a master in physical body form who's under the age of 40. They haven't had enough life experience, man. There are genius multimillionaire kids who are 20. I talk to them all the time. I got 19-year-old kids recruiting me who have $10 million in the bank because they gamed the internet. They don't know the first thing about consciousness. They don't know the first thing about why they're here. So is that who you're going to listen to because they have $10 million in the bank? Or are you going to listen to somebody that can actually teach you what matters in life? And what matters in life is raising your consciousness. That's it. There's nothing else. It's not about how much money you have. I'm not going to tell anybody watching this that it's not nice to be able to travel the world, like I do, and go wherever I want and never have any concerns. But I mean, I worked my ass off to get to where I am right now. And you know what? For guys that are 19 and already have more money in their bank account, that's great. I don't care. But do you understand the purpose of being here? And again, majority of them do not. So be very careful, like where you get your information from or who you look up to, and there's a million great, amazing masters walking this planet right now who've done the work and can help and can teach, but just be cautious and be careful on who you look to get your information. But, look, dude, like I wish that I had a mentor when I was in my 20s. I did not have a mentor. My dad was a really intelligent guy, but he did not have the spiritual foundation, so I never had somebody like me to help me. So I had to learn, through the school of hard knocks and application and reading books just as you are, and there's ways to do that. But, if there really is a shortcut, a hack, it's to find a mentor and to reach out to that person, email them, text them, message them. And believe me, if they're successful and busy, they're not going to respond immediately because they got 1,000 of you emailing them. Okay. So don't give up. Don't quit. How are you going to get that person to respond to you? Write something interesting, intelligent, funny, humorous, anecdotal, something that will make that person respond to you. And if they do, then you need to do what they tell you to do. Follow them, emulate them, shadow them if you can. Back in the old school days before the internet, it was very easy to go and call somebody if they respond, if you could get them, and say, hey, I want to come shadow you for 2 days. I want to watch what you do. I want to emulate your processes. I want to watch how you cold call or prospect or, and this can go into any business. And that's how it used to work. But nowadays you don't need to do that because of the technology. All you have to do is just be able to get somebody's interest level and say, hey, how can I help this? And I'm not going to tell people that courses don't help, masterminds don't help. They all help. But it's really just finding one successful person who's in a field that you would like to be in, and then taking their processes and their practices and their protocols and applying them in a way that uniquely fits yours. That is literally the key to self-mastery, is having mentors.
Wow. And this is incredible, Jay, because I've realized what you said over the past 6 months. And when I say I realized, I mean I felt it in my core, because in the past, when I was like in my 20s, now I'm 31. When I was in my 20s, I read the books, Napoleon Hill, the classics, everything around self-help and all that stuff. But I couldn't really, I was intellectually aware, but I wasn't aware.
Right.
And then I started, over the past year, to be honest, because of the podcast in a sense, but also because of my own curiosity. I started, like you say, reaching out to people and being really not self-absorbed, but really curious and interested about them, because I really was.
Right.
And I really was. And I wanted to be of service in a way, because I love the way they talked. I love the way they perceive the world, and I wanted to be them. And believe it or not, I'm now in talks with a few guys, and of course, exactly like you say, and they offered me a few opportunities right now
Sure.
that they are in their late 50s and early 60s.
Right.
And I had the humility, because I'm in my early 30s, to reach out and being of service. Because if I did that in 10 years ago, I would be self-absorbed.
Exactly.
And hey, that's me, hey, and it's me, yeah. But
Here's
now,
me, man. Here's what I do, blah, 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 look, but again, we're all on that path, and it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to be in the ego mind. It's okay to be self-absorbed. This is part of the path. This is part of the journey of the soul, to learn and to feel these experiences. And, you said something that's very key. Thinking and knowing are two different things. When people say, I'll make it even more simple. When people say, I believe, that means they don't know. When you look at the etymological root word language of the word believe, it's B-E, capital L, capital I, capital E, lowercase v, lowercase e. So when you start understanding things from a etymological, again, root language meaning, you start avoiding certain words, because you realize that those words are spells. Everything that you say is a field of energy and frequency that you have emitted into the ether, to the universe, to the cosmos. So when you use weak words like I'm trying, I want to, I might, I could, I should, you are disarming your energy and your frequency. And again, when you're around a real master and you use weak words, that person's not listening to you, because you are how would I say it? You are disharmonizing their informed, coherent field, because you are using weakness and projecting it at them, which is like a laser hitting their force field. You're like, ah. So, these are things that you have to learn. And again, you don't learn this kind of stuff in your 20s and 30s. There are people that have. I have been training people who are 25. And they're now in their, like your age, in their early 30s. And they're like, they're so far ahead of the game, like, especially for where I was at the same time. And this is just because I had me to mentor them. You know what I'm saying? Just as now they're going to mentor people underneath them, and so on and so forth. Again, so it's like, again, in our podcast, I keep going back to me and Jason's podcast because it was so profound. But, it's, you want to, and Rex Bear from the Elite Project says this all the time. Be the light you want to see. Be the change you want to see. Because it's all about connection and unity, and all human beings being connected at this field of consciousness level. And when we can get everybody above this line of integrity, which is what Hawkins calls, which is really, the word is courage. That's the word when you rise above the line of integrity, right? Because when you're below the line of integrity, you're in fear. So when you finally have the courage to move above the line of integrity, you're most likely going to stay there, because all that time it took you to muster up the courage, now you're there. But it's staying there. And again, as human beings, we are frail. We have an ego. We do get attacked. Our ego is designed to keep us to survive, right? Like 2,000 years ago, we were walking around on the Serengeti plains and there's saber-toothed tigers and who knows, dinosaurs behind us. Like, you had to have a third eye just to stay alive. But nowadays in the modern realm, we don't have to be in survival, but our ego is still programmed to be in survival, right? So, a good analogy for people watching the show to really keep it, centered is, you always have a choice as a human being, a conscious human being, a sentient human being, to want to do two things. You can react out of fear to whatever happens to you, which is, again, 80% of the masses are reacting out of fear because that's where they vibrate. Or you can choose to respond out of love. And when you choose to respond out of love, it takes great fortitude. It takes thought. It takes focus. And it takes, again, conscious intent to respond out of love, right? Because it's not simple. Somebody attacks you, I always use the adage of, like, you're driving in the morning, you just had an amazing morning meditation, you get in your car, you're driving to work or wherever you're going, and some maniac cuts you off in traffic and literally almost kills you. Now, your ego is instinctually wanting to go into survival, and you grip the steering wheel, and most people like accelerate and get up next to him and look at him, because of course I've done this 100 times, and be like, motherfucker, pull over, I'll kill you, whatever. But the conscious being, and again, this takes great work and great fortitude and courage and all these things, has so much control over their ego that they literally look back at this person. They don't grip the steering wheel, number one. They just relax. They take a deep breath and they look at that person and they wave and smile and say, wow, you must be having a really bad day. I send you love. Now, very few people can do that, but Jason, this is the most important thing of that, right? Like, that's enough just to understand, wow, that person can do that. But if you're an energy person and you understand vibration and conscious awareness, and again, the laws of transmutation of energy, you just sent that person back a harmonious, coherent, resonant frequency, which is, oh, wow, you must be having a bad day. I send you love. That energy field of resonance transmutes and disarms dissonant energy. So now that person who's in a bad mood and is having a horrible day and is driving like a maniac, and God knows what could be happening. Who knows? Maybe their mom and dad were just killed. They lost their son, insert any horrific thing, just had a love wave of energy overcome his dissonant wave of energy, because that's the way it works. That's literally the laws of quantum physics. Resonance disarms dissonance. It's a universal construct. So you just disarmed his negativity, and now he's sitting there going, huh? That person just waved at me and like sent me love. And what do I do? So it's like, you now just disarm that person and you put them in a different field. It's the same thing. Like, I used to play this game when I first started doing this and really learning how, energy can transmute energy. You could go into a crowded place and go up to the meanest, menacing, biggest, baddest looking dude, tatted up, looks like a killer just was released from the prison, who's, got a scowl on their face and menacing. And you could go up as like a tiny little dude and walk up to him with a smile on your face and shake his hand and say, hey man, how are you doing today? My name is Jay. And watch what happens. It's absolutely unavoidable that person is going to smile back at you and say, man, thank you, brother. My name is so-and-so. as big as that person is and as menacing as that person looks, because this is the law of transmutation and energy. And you have to understand these kind of things to engage in this kind of practice. But the moral is, if you know these things and you live your life by these principles, you're never going to attract this in your life. You're never going to be in a robbery. You're never going to be driving around in a neighborhood and be involved in a drive-by shooting or a carjacking or any of these other things, because your vibrational field, your informed field, as Jason calls it, is not at a level where you're attracting an equal energy, right? So if you're driving around, living your life in resonance, giving to homeless people, treating people with the golden rule, tipping well, treating people at the airport or cabbies or Uber drivers with graciousness, respect, and cooperation and kindness and harmony, it's going to come back. It's a universal law. Every person that you do business with on the course of the day, you should be thanking and saying, I'm so grateful to work with you. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to speak with you. I'm so grateful that you had me on the podcast here today, Jason. And you convey that energy and that frequency, and that's what comes back. And it's just a giant circle. This is the cosmic egg. And that cosmic egg revolves this energy of love and resonance and coherence. And it just gets faster and faster and faster until eventually you're in oscillation. And oscillation is literally at 450 fields and above. And you cannot even attract anything under the levels of 300, right? And the levels of 300 are a willingness, hope, optimism, intention. So again, everything is vibration. And I know that when I say everything is vibration, people still kind of like, what does that mean? So I like to say vibration is consciousness. So if you treat every person, and by the way, this needs to be discussed even deeper. It's not just people, it's life. And everything is conscious. Rocks are conscious. Anything that vibrates is conscious. Everything that vibrates is alive. There are levels of awareness. Obviously, a plant is less aware than a dog. A dog is less aware than a human. A human is less aware than an angel, blah, blah, blah. A human is less aware than an avatar. An avatar is less aware than an angel, probably, or an archangel. I mean, again, everything is vibrating at a certain rate and frequency. And so your key as a living being, conscious as a human, you have a very advanced state, is to raise your frequency, your pattern of vibration to oscillation. The smartest people on the planet right now are talking about raising your vibration to oscillation. I have a statement, raise your vibration to optimize your love creation. But you ultimately, the more love you create, the more you oscillate. Because again, think of the spiral, the divine coil, the strands of DNA. The more you're oscillating, you're going like this. But if you're in low vibration, you're like, and if you're drinking alcohol and you're eating sugar and you're fat as hell and you're inflamed, you can't vibrate in oscillation. Your physical meat modem is destitute. It doesn't even acknowledge. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. And I have to
People
also
don't want
add,
to hear this, dude. People don't want to hear this.
I'll be honest here, full transparency here, of course. I'm lately had some gut inflammation because I wasn't responsible about myself. And I try to feel love, but it's not as when I was healthier like 6 months ago. So people listening to this, I can attest to everything, Jay, because I've experienced some of it. Of course, you are much more ahead to the game of consciousness than I am, and probably most people listening. But there is something there. There's something there. This is not hocus pocus. This is true.
Well, look, everyone has a level of awareness that they are at and acclimate to. But again, the path is raising the awareness. So, if you're listening to this here today and you think I'm a raving lunatic, and, for the people that really know me, who've worked with me for a long time, they understand that like a person like me is brutal. Like I am a shock to the senses because there are not a lot of people that act and feel and speak and communicate like me. But if you ever meet me in person, and obviously it's not as easy because the internet, makes a lot of people, feel like they know me, but they've really never met me. You really don't know a person until you're actually in their energy field. You'll know that I really do care. Like, my wife and my daughters and, people that truly are in my inner circle who know me will tell you that like I have a huge heart and I care about people so much. And again, it's not about making money for me. It's about helping as many people as I can every single day. Like, how can I reach more people with this message? How can I communicate the importance of raising consciousness, frequency, vibration? That's what matters. But these things that I say are very arcane. These are esoteric. This is stuff that has been kept from the masses for a long time by both evil and benevolent. And it was always because they would say that, the masses are not designed for the truth. But see, I now will go against that. And I will say that if the masses don't become aware of the truth, then this planet goes back to shit again. And we reboot and we recycle. We have a Phoenix event, a Nemesis event, whatever you want to call it, the flood, a pole shift. There's a million different names for it. The rapture, end of times. And look, this happens frequently in the third dimension. It's proven scientifically that this happens. So the truth is that, all these great, masters and secret society and Jesuit Freemasons and Rosicrucians and all these people that were keeping what I call the secret flame from the masses. The entire United States of America is a corporation. It always was a corporation created by Jesuit Freemasons. I mean, all of the Masonic symbolism in Washington, D.C. is understood by very few people. I'm one of them. Okay. But the truth is that there are many of people like me now that are like, no, fuck them. This is about everybody deserves to know this kind of stuff. So not everybody will. Right. And like whatever happens, again, speaking of whatever is coming when there's a graduation ceremony for this dimension, which is coming. If you don't make it, you get another chance. And if you don't make it in the next time, you get another chance. And we're all progressing different levels. So if you graduate from this level, you probably have a better realm coming to you. Just as those in the level above us have a better one coming to them. And so, I mean, again, this time period, again, time being a linear construct in the third dimension, it does change every 26 or 25,000 or whatever it is years. It's a yuga or an equinox or whatever you want to call it. And in that change, the frequency of the dimension goes higher. And if you are vibrating down here, you can't go to that frequency. If you're vibrating up here, you're already in that frequency. And so now that frequency becomes the dominant collective conscious frequency. And if you're down here, you can't be in that collective consciousness because you can't make it. Your cells literally will not vibrate at the speed necessary to survive. You will literally be blown apart. No, you don't get blown apart. There's no fear here. You just get moved to a level of vibration, an energetic field of consciousness, of awareness, of existence that sustains your vibration. Yeah. So most people, bro, will stay here in this constant third dimensional construct, which we're all in right now. But people have a choice. As I always say, resonance or dissonance, you get to choose to raise your field into resonance so that you do go to the next level. And again, I don't know what the next level is. The ancients call it ascension, transfiguration, the fifth dimension, 5D in the consciousness community, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but it's a known fact. All religions, even the hijacked religions, talk about it. Christianity talks about ascension. Christ was crucified and rose and ascended. Now that's all gobbledygook and misinformation and disinformation, but the truths of it are in there. It's just, again, do you understand and do you have a pure heart to know what the truth is? But the reality is that we do move from this level of awareness to another one, and then from that one to another one, and then from that one into another one. And who knows if it ever ends, bro? I mean, we do know that at some point you will get back to God. again, God is that informational field of perfection and bliss, but who knows how long it takes. And who's to say, bro, that if you're not a master, you get sent back to help more people get to that level of awareness? I mean, why would God and his angels and his, minions not say, oh, that dude, that woman over there, man, can help a lot of people. Are you cool to go back? And, what are you going to say no to God? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, the reality is like, my guess is through a lot of conscious work and meditation is I believe that some of us, again, I just use the word believe. See, even I say word believe. We're so entrained in this dimension to use weak words. I know that there are beings, souls that are sent back, just as there are beings and souls set ahead, because there's always a time and a place relevant for every expression, and I put this on Twitter today, and we can end the show with this. This statement is for everyone, and it doesn't matter where your awareness is, but everything is happening as it is divinely intended, always and in all ways. Your resistance to that awareness is futile. So if you analyze that statement, no matter what is happening in your life or anyone's life in the cosmos, it's happening exactly as divinity intends it. So when you get to that level of awareness, and this is really high level stuff, man, you can't be crying. You can't be upset. You can't get frustrated. You can't get pissed that you didn't get that job, or that you missed that commission check, or you were late for that meeting. None of that shit matters. Everything is happening as it is supposed to. So learn from it. This is the opportunity for you to be grateful that you're alive, to be grateful that you're breathing and touching and feeling and existing and having this amazing podcast with the woof woof, right? And beyond being grateful, you know that it's going to work out. That doesn't matter. So when people, religious people, regardless of where they come from, and they say, you just got to surrender, bro. That's what they mean. That is surrender to the greater awareness that everything is okay. And it's all happening as it's supposed to. It doesn't matter how many people died today of the C or got the V. All that is meaningless. What matters is it's okay. It's happening as it's supposed to. And so if I know that and all is well, then I'm going to enjoy my ride. And my ride is raising my consciousness in the third dimension.
Excellent. Jay, thanks for coming on, man. That was you and Jason from Archaics, you guys. I see a bright future, and I hope to see you also doing a lot of talks together. We can learn from you guys, so I will surely be there to learn. I'm very grateful that you came by. Where can people go, of course, to check your stuff?
First off, Jason, man, I learned from you too, man. As I told you off air, I don't do podcasts with anybody who's not consciously deserving and aware and already with an informed field. So I'm grateful to be here with you today. Whenever I come on a show, it is a divine reciprocal relationship. The indigenous people call that Ani, which is divine reciprocity. The universe is a mirror. What you put out is what comes back. You can find me at so this is interesting. jccampbell.com is my website. But by about 1 o'clock tomorrow, I will actually finally be jcampbell.com. So that's where you want to go to me. Click on the Start Here page. There's lots of ways to connect with me. If you want to follow me on social media, I am Jay Campbell 333 on all my social media: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I'm much more active on Twitter than anywhere. I put a lot of spiritual content on Twitter. It is very high level stuff. I am shadow banned. I am suppressed by the dark AI that runs social media, but I still thankfully have enough angels protecting my accounts that allow it to stay there. It doesn't grow, it doesn't get bigger, but there's a lot of really good information. So If you're somebody out there and you would like to work with me, again, just go to jaycampbell.com starting tomorrow and click on the Start Here button, and you will somehow, in some way, shape, or form, get to me.
That's excellent. My brother and my mentor, enjoy your massage, and I hope the best for you. I hope the best for the listeners. I hope they got something, and all the love I can send to the people listening, and to you, Jay. All the love. It's the solution. Surrender.
Beautiful, brother.
That's all from me. Ciao, ciao, everybody, and go subscribe to the channel too if you like the conversation. I hope that at some point, maybe in the future, we can redo this, do a part 2, because Jay has so much wisdom in him. And thank you, Jay, again. Have a nice day, man.
You too, man. I love you.
Yeah, I too. Enjoy your day.